Okay, so next up we got something a little different. This one's not quite Marvel vs. Capcom, but it is a Marvel game that's made by Capcom. The developers figure, it's the same shit, eh? Just throw it in there. Under what other circumstances are we ever gonna put this game anywhere? So yeah, it's the Punisher, hero of real-life right-wing loonies these days. And try to be the Punisher in real life and just end up harassing harmless people. Don't put real-world politics into video games. Nice day for a picnic, gay Luigi. On that day, Frank Caliendo died. The end. Alright, let's do one more of these. Hopefully you're not tired of this grand smattering of all things Marvel and Capcom just yet. Because we gotta visit my man, Noramaru. The fact that he's even in this game at all is just utterly bananas. Utterly bananas pizza. They put a real ass man in a fighting game. I can't hardly believe it. Capcom was okay with that decision, but Marvel was not. They were confused and stunned. What the hell's this real life comedian doing in this fighting game? You're supposed to take this shit seriously, and here's the Japanese version of Pee Wee Herman. Marvel hated this character, and rightfully so. He's very annoying. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise that he's even brought back at all. I mean, how would you even get the rights to this character? Who would you call? And as you would expect, the character itself kinda sucks ass, cause, well, I mean, look at him, it suits him. It's just perfect for a frail Japanese man who throws protractors. I do believe within the lore of this character, and yes, there is lore for even this character, that canonically he's supposed to be like a wimpy high school student or something, but at the same time he's got a visible 5 o'clock shadow. Did you see he was wearing a Mega Man helmet in his super there for a second? So yeah, Marvel was so angry at the inclusion of this character that in the American version he wasn't even there. So you people do what you want, but in the good old land of the free, people aren't gonna tolerate this kind of crap. And so, on the character select screen, they just covered him up. They didn't even like redraw it or anything. They just put some shit on top of him so you couldn't select him. Good enough. You know, it has been nearly 30 years since this game came out. Maybe times are different now, and maybe Marvel and Capcom can bury the Noramaru hatchets, so to speak, and they can start using them again. Put them in the MCU. Who gives a fuck? I'm sure MCU people will appreciate a reference to a Japan-only fighting game character who appeared in one game 30 years ago. They're gonna say, wow, these are the deepest of deep cuts. Almost as deep as the cuts I'm gonna do in the bathtub when I get home. Ah, fuck. But yeah, put Noramaru in the MCU. If people question who he is, just tell them, that's Stan Lee. Don't you remember what he looks like? They'll say, oh yeah. You see, he's got like a Yoshi flutter for that move he does in the air. Who would think of such a silly thing? So, the Hulk has armor frames, by the way. Well, everyone has armor frames, but he has more of them. He's one of those types of characters you see. I bet if Justin Wong were here, he could explain some kind of elaborate strategy for dealing with characters like this, using lots of sweaty fighting game jargon that 90% of people aren't familiar with. See, all you gotta do is you gotta do the Wallace and Gromit move, and then on frame 3 of the heavy punch, you gotta stick out your tongue and close your right eye and say the Pledge of Allegiance backwards, and you'll just win automatically. Yeah, it's easy. That's all you gotta do. The skill ceiling for these games is so crazy high. That's what I've been learning over the past month. I used to think I was good at these, and then seeing the pros do it, it's like, whoa. I just can't hardly believe it. I'm probably in like the 10th percentile in terms of skill for these things. I know what a quarter circle is, and that's probably about it. So, Blackheart, huh? Remember on The Simpsons when they had Mr. Blackheart and he was gonna take away Stampy the elephant? Bart's pet elephant, that is. Yeah, that actually happened. And Homer said, but a man who has lots of... He obviously said this a lot more cleanly and articulately, because they gotta fit this into 22 minutes. But he said, a man who has lots of ivory is much less likely to kill an elephant than a man who only has a little. That's roughly how the quote went. Yeah, good episode. Speaking of, you ever see that semi-famous post where that lady didn't recognize Homer Simpson in the picture? And she said, I don't know who this guy is, but he looks like he's made out of cheese. How could anybody not know such an iconic character? I swear to God, it's like they tried to deliberately make Noromaru as annoying as possible. He's just going blah 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 blah. Japanese humor is very different from what I've been told. To them, this is probably like the funniest thing they've ever seen. To them, this isn't annoying at all. Infinitely entertaining. They're probably gonna make Noromaru like their the next mascot the next time they host the Olympics or something. Anywho, so here's a semi-humorous story that I've been meaning to tell, but there hasn't been a natural point to bring it up in the conversation, so I'm just going to say it anyway. The other day, I was listening to the hip-hop station on my way into work, and this particular song, they had the hip-hop guy, he was doing this, basically. I was thinking, he's a Banjo-Kazooie character. Get it? Because, you know, when you talk to the characters in Banjo-Kazooie, they just make like a repetitive noise over and over again as the text goes by. Like Banjo, for example, goes like, gah-huh, 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 or like a ghost goes, ooh, ooh. It's like, if that particular guy was in Banjo-Kazooie, he'd make that noise over the text box. That would be kind of funny, right? Maybe. So, just taking a high-level overview of this game and everything in it. Just to wrap up here, this is definitely one of the weaker games in the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise overall, because it doesn't really add anything new to the formula. I mean, there's Noromaru, of course, but other than that, it's very derivative, very copied and pasted. Not building on what came before it, rather reminiscent of a Capcom fighting evolution. I guess that didn't fill out the rest of the episode like I had hoped. Why do you think Sakura is crying in the key art on the lower left corner of the screen? Is it because Firefly got cancelled? Well, that was 20 years ago. It's time to move on from that. Fuck. Does anyone know what oh, there's two of them. Two of them, dear viewer. He doesn't do that in the other games. That one's unique to this for whatever reason. At least I think. So, health bar-wise, I got a decent lead over it. Well, never mind. Oh wait, I blocked it. Yeah, I might be able to pull this off. We just got a few seconds left, viewer. Is this gonna be the big moment where I become the next Justin Schlong? Am I gonna be the fighting... well... Things certainly do turn around quickly in fighting game world. Well, we haven't really looked at all the games in the compilation, but I think we've at least looked at everything that's, worth looking at. Everything else is just kind of derivative of what we've already seen. This is a good stopping point.